One good deed. It was a rushed Monday morning, the kind where the city felt louder than usual and everyone walked a little faster. Maya stood in line at a small cafe near the bus stop, glancing at her watch and calculating how late she already was. Ahead of her stood an elderly man counting coins with trembling fingers. The line grew restless. Someone sighed loudly. The cashier waited, polite but tired. Maya felt the familiar urge to look away. She had deadlines, meetings, responsibilities. But then she noticed the man's worn jacket and the way he kept apologizing under his breath. Without thinking too much, Maya stepped forward. "I've got it," she said softly, placing her card on the counter. The man turned, eyes wide with surprise. "Oh, no, you don't have to." "I know," she smiled. "But I want to." It was a small thing, a cup of tea and a simple sandwich. Yet the man's face softened, as if someone had lifted a weight he'd been carrying all morning. "Thank you," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "You have no idea what this means." Maya shrugged it off, waved goodbye, and rushed out. By lunchtime, she had almost forgotten about it. But later that day, as Maya struggled with a problem at work, a colleague noticed and stayed late to help her. On her way home, the bus driver waited an extra moment so she wouldn't miss her stop. And that evening, she received a message from a friend she hadn't spoken to in years, just checking in. Maya smiled, a quiet understanding settling in her heart. One good deed hadn't changed the world. But it had softened it, just enough. And sometimes, that's how kindness works. Maya didn't see the elderly man again, but the memory of his grateful smile stayed with her longer than she expected. It surfaced in small moments, while waiting at traffic lights, while stirring sugar into her tea, while watching strangers pass by without meeting each other's eyes. A few days later, rain poured relentlessly over the city. The bus shelter near Maya's office overflowed with people pressed close together, damp and impatient. As she waited, she noticed a young woman standing just outside the shelter, her coat thin, her hair plastered to her face by the rain. In her arms, she held a sleeping child wrapped in a towel. Maya hesitated. She told herself the shelter was already crowded. Someone else would make room. But something tugged at her, something quiet and familiar. She shifted her bag, stepped closer, and gently said, "You can stand here. There's space." The woman's eyes filled with relief as she stepped inside. "Thank you," she whispered, adjusting the child on her shoulder. "It's been a long day." They didn't talk much after that, but when the bus arrived, the woman smiled at Maya with the same softness the old man once had. It struck Maya how kindness often left the same expression behind, no matter who received it. That evening, Maya stopped by the cafe again. The cashier recognized her and offered a free cookie with her order. "You always seem kind," the cashier said casually. "It's nice to see." Maya laughed, a little embarrassed. She didn't feel especially kind. She just felt aware. Aware of how small actions could ease invisible burdens. Aware of how easily people were overlooked. Aware that kindness didn't ask for time, it asked for attention. As days passed, Maya noticed the city changing, not because it actually had, but because she had. She held doors longer. She listened more patiently. She smiled at strangers without expecting anything back. And though no one applauded, no headlines were written, something subtle but powerful began to grow around her. A quiet chain of warmth, moving from person to person, unseen but deeply felt. Maya finally understood. One good deed doesn't end when it's done. It continues, through hands, through hearts, through moments we never get to witness. Weeks passed, and life slowly returned to its familiar rhythm. Meetings filled Maya's calendar, the city returned to its noise, and the rain gave way to pale winter sunlight. Yet something within her had shifted, like a window cracked open, letting in air she hadn't realized she needed. One evening, after a long and exhausting day, Maya boarded a nearly empty bus. Her shoulders ached, her patience worn thin. She sat by the window, staring at reflections instead of streets. At the next stop, a familiar figure climbed aboard. It was the elderly man from the cafe. He looked stronger somehow, cleaner jacket, steadier hands. When his eyes met Maya's, recognition sparked. He smiled slowly, as if the moment had been waiting for both of them. "You," he said softly, moving closer. "I hoped I'd see you again." Maya smiled back, surprised by the warmth that rose in her chest. I'm glad you did. He sat beside her and spoke carefully, choosing his words like something precious. He told her how that morning in the cafe had been harder than she knew. His pension had been delayed. Pride had kept him standing in that line longer than hunger should have allowed. That tea, he said, chuckling gently, was the first warm thing I'd had in 2 days. Maya swallowed, her throat tight. But that wasn't all, he continued. After you left, I felt lighter. So I helped the woman behind me carry her bags. Later, I shared a bench with a man who looked lonelier than I felt. Kindness, he paused, tapping his chest, has a way of asking to be passed on. Maya felt tears prick her eyes. The bus rolled on, quiet and unhurried. Outside, the city lights blurred into soft gold. Before his stop, the man stood and turned to her. You reminded me I still mattered, he said. And because of that, I made sure others felt the same. When he stepped off the bus, Maya watched him walk away, slowly, but with purpose. That night, Maya didn't feel like she had changed the world. She felt something far more meaningful. She felt connected. She understood now that kindness wasn't a single moment or a grand gesture. It was a living thing, moving quietly, growing stronger with every hand willing to carry it forward. And somewhere in the city, a woman stood a little warmer, a stranger felt a little less alone, and a simple good deed continued its journey, unseen, unstoppable, and alive.